Welcome to the Bolivian Salt Flats and Atacama Desert, home to 10 billion tons of salt and 70% of the world's lithium. This is day number 2 and we're going to be getting up close and personal with the border with Chile, checking out a little salt flat there, semi-active and active volcanoes, red lagoons, green lagoons. We're checking out desert rabbits. It's absolute pandemonium. The day's been phenomenal. We've seen about 3,000 flamingos. So any questions, anything we don't cover, anything you want to know, bang a message in the comments. I respond to every single one. Whilst you're down there, hit that subscribe button. Still en route to 3K subs. And let's get straight back to start the day because it's been a banger. Day number 2 and it's another BEA beautiful one. We've got an absolutely ridiculous sunrise in the distance. We could see out of our room. We're staying at Hostel Shamarukara. Absolutely not how you pronounce it, so I'll overlay it on the screen now. We're literally in the middle of absolute nowhere. We're just driving off the salt flats just after dark, just after sunset. We're wondering, worrying, where will we be sleeping? Lovely setup. The shower, if anything, it was too hot. It was absolutely boiling and burning. The room, huge, comfy, and a silly amount of duvets. Em was wrapped in there in literally like a sheet, a blanket, a duvet and another duvet, and they gave us -10 sleeping bags. Apparently across the 2 nights this is the worst the accommodations, but the food last night was banging. I only got a video of the soup for starter, but they also did a lovely little vegetarian lasagna, so we might be adding that to the old repertoire. I'm gonna box off a little bit of breakfast this morning, see what comes out. It'll just be like yogurt and cereal or something like that, I imagine, and then we're going to be getting in the thick of it. So any questions about accommodation and stuff like that, as I say, all the food, drink, everything from the entire trip is included in the price of £200 across the 3 days. So insane value so far. But any questions, let me know, and we'll be checking back in very shortly for some flare action. Yeah, baby.
Day 2, stop 1, and we are in Salar de Uyuni.
That has told me one thing and one thing only. The king is doing all Spanish pronunciation from now on. So this salt flat is actually right on the Chilean border. It's fed by small ravines going around all the surrounding volcanoes and mountains. And yeah, it creates a pretty cool salt flat, but nothing like what we saw yesterday. It's a little bit more of like a brownish colour due to all like the volcanic minerals and ore in the old soil, in the old salt. Flairest point for me is the railway. So we've got a little crispy and smooth drone shot going straight into the old eyes now, up and down the railway. I think anything like where there's like a super long, like you think, oh, how far is it? We're flying the drone for like 5 minutes each way. That is how big this landscape is. So super flare little spot. We did stop at a little like quinoa factory on the way here. If you have the option to sack that off, absolutely get it gone and get here, get in the wilderness and get in the mountains. All the mountains and volcanoes around here, well, the mountains aren't semi-active, but the volcanoes are. So we're going to be getting up close and personal with a couple of those very shortly. But yeah, this is a flare little spot. You can do all the perspective photos again, and you can get some silky shots stood on the railway. And this is the railway from yesterday where we went all the way up to Uyuni. So if you've not watched yesterday's video, go back, check it out, because I genuinely think it was the best day of my life. And we started off well today, baby. Let's get it. Next stop on the magical mystery tour, Mirador Oligay. Obviously name will be on the screen now, so you can search it and research it for yourselves. Beautiful little spot. This is a stratovolcano, which for you geographers and geologists out there, you know that's because of the cone shape, and it has very viscous lava, so no pyroclastic floats here. Hopefully, if anything does go off, we should be able to get away because it won't be moving too quickly. The landscape is absolutely phenomenal. Again, you feel like you're on Mars. Very much reminds me of different elements and areas when I went to Iceland many moons ago. Lovely little spot. You probably want about half an hour, 45 minutes. It's about a 10-minute walk from the car park, maybe 5-10 minutes, depending on how the old VO2 max, the old cardio is. Lovely little vantage point. Great spot for photos. Here, we're here about 10:30 in the morning. You've got the sun on you and the volcano in the backdrop. If you come here in the afternoon, the sun will be on you, but you'll have no volcano in the backdrop. So if you are about your JPEGs, make sure you get here in the morning. If you want a coffee, if you want a beer wari, if you want a llama burger, they have a couple of those on offer. But for me, it's all about the vibes, all about the views. And I tell you what, every single step of the way, we're going up and up and up. One, in terms of altitude, because we're at 4,150 meters now, but also in just terms of vibes, in terms of experience. Cannot fault this trip thus far. A little bit of interesting geography knowledge for you as well. They were saying due to global warming, all the peaks around here, there's like tiny little white specks on them, and they're like remnants of glaciers of years and days gone by. So yeah, if you're going to come here, you want to see the smallest glaciers in the world, do it in the next couple of years. After that, they will be absolutely gone ski. But yeah, beautiful mountain, definitely get it on the list. And yeah, just pure vibes all day, baby. It is just ruthless scenery after scenery after scenery. It is another beautiful stop, Laguna Campana. As you can see the backdrop behind me, I'm going to overlay a little bit of footage if I can. Can't get the drone out on this spot because there is an absolute abundance of flamingos. So we're half in the desert, half in the mountains, and there are just, I'd probably say about 1,000 flamingos here. It's absolutely beautiful. This is the only stop where you kind of want semi-bad weather. If there's been a little bit of rain, it gives the water a real red colour with that like low-level mist. So if there is rain, this will be a better stop. If you obviously have good weather, all the other stops are going to be better. So we can't have it all. But yeah, the flamingos here are unbelievable. So this is a breeding spot for them. They're pink feathers, and then the bottom of their legs are meant to be bright blue. You can't get too close to them. I'd say probably the closest is maybe about 10 meters away, but they did say because this is a breeding ground, they are highly aggressive, which is absolutely fair enough. Protect the old young, and then the water itself, do not get in the water here because there's silly amounts of microorganisms and bacteria. So yeah, read a lot about that online. Don't get too close to the water. One, because you might get a little bacterial infection, and two, you're going to get absolutely seen off by the old flamingos. But yeah, we got the mountains in the backdrop. I'm not even sure what that is in the corner over there. Like, that could be ice, can't be ice, must be salt. What am I talking about? G-dubs, we're in the Salt Flats. My head's absolutely gone. But yeah, it's just an absolute ruthless setting. Again, I don't know what more you can ask for than this. In the words of a good friend of mine, Mr. Sergio Aguero, this is what we call different gravy. Get it on the list, boys. Every time we think we're at the tippity top, we're only halfway up. Laguna Hedionda, again, not how you pronounce it. However, what it does mean, and I can 100% confirm this, is stinking lake. The place absolutely reeks of sulfur. There's loads of different things in the mixer in here in terms of like minerals like lithium, boron, and the old potassium, getting that in the old bones, in the old lungs. It's quite a rogue one because it's absolutely majestic to look at. You've got the mountains in the backdrop. It's unbelievable scenery. But then this is also the lunch stop. So you have the beautiful scenery. Luckily you're inside for lunch. It's not like you're breathing in as you're eating, but the colours of the water, again, there's about 1,000 flamingos here, some pink, some white, and then the grey ones, depending on what time of season you come, are the baby ones. Beautiful setup. Again, you probably want about half an hour to explore, and then half an hour for lunch, and just a little tip for everywhere you go here, you have to pay for the toilet. Sometimes it's 2 Bolivianas, here it's 5. 5 is roughly 50p. So yeah, do bear that in mind. Bring some cash, and it's better if you have coins for getting in there. But yeah, it's just a ruthless setup. We've just got JPEGs floating left, right and centre. And yeah, the water, depending on what time of year you come, rainy season it's better because you get really high, like the shrubbery, the greenery. You get the backdrop a little bit colder in terms of the mountains, and then the water again is just unbelievable, like blue and green here. The lake before was meant to be a bit more pinky, a bit more red, but again, absolutely majestic. They were saying the locals actually drink from a local like aquifer here, and the guy was like, oh, do you want to try it? Absolutely not, because I'll be spending the next 3 weeks on the toilet, oh boy. But yeah, cannot detract from the beauty. Scintillating, sensational and sexual once again. Get it on the list. What an unbelievable little day, baby. What more do you want than this? It's just ruthless scenery again and again. Rinse and repeat. We're at Laguna Colorado. However, we're going to take you back because we have 4 stops. Laguna Honda, I was not able to talk because the wind was absolutely ridiculous. Very similar to the other 2 lagoons, to be honest. Beautiful view, 4,100 meters altitude. The name means deep lake. If you can go close to it, you can take a really cool reflection. Yeah, against, I guess, the mountains and stuff like that. It gives that mirror-like effect. However, do you know what I mean? We're here in spring, so do you know what I mean? Water levels are pretty low. So yeah, unfortunately, no mirror-like effects for the team. Then we had 2 little stops in Deserti di Soli, which is part of the Atacama Desert and considered one of the driest, most arid places on the entire planet. And I can absolutely confirm that it was dry as chips, dusty as chips, and yeah, again, super windy, 4,500 meters up in altitude, super cool rock formations, and we saw these like little, what looked like desert rabbits, kind of, I don't know, it's like, well, I personally would say this is a bad thing, to be honest, but it's such a tough place to live for animals, of course, that the animals have learned that it's like a bit of a tourist spot. So they kept coming to the edge of this rock formation, and now because tourists keep feeding them fruit or even like chocolate biscuits and sweets, they've learned to come to this spot and get fed. So I guess it's like, do you feed them so that, do you know what I mean, they get food, or do you not feed them so they learn to eat elsewhere? So that was a little bit of an eye-opener, but yeah, I can't believe anything survives up here. It is absolutely outrageous. The fact that NASA come and do training here, because the landscape is very similar to that of Mars. There's high ultraviolet radiation and the varied temperatures. Like in the daytime, we've been places today where I've been like burning in the sun. We're talking like 25-30 degrees, but then it's unbelievably windy as well. So then you've got your jacket on. I'm still rocking the shorts. Do you know what I mean? Those northerners, we don't piss about. We're not as wet as the southerners and our colonial cousins across the old pond. But yeah, it does get windy at times as well. And then we stopped at a really cool spot called Arrabal de Piedra, which means stone tree. And for me, I was joking to Emma, I was like, this is literally Bolivia's answer to the Stonehenge. There's all these different rock formations, all different fissures within the rocks and cracks. So all you geographers, geologists, this is a little spot for you, but it's quite interesting to be fair. So the rock in the desert, heavy amounts of wind erosion. The bottom half is quartz and the top half is iron. So basically the top half erodes a lot slower than the bottom, which is pretty bloody flay if you ask me. Does kind of look like a tree, so we will give them that. But yeah, the tree's about 5 meters high. You're just cruising through the desert and it just pops up out of nowhere. And I think that's another cool thing that we've seen on this trip and today is the variation in landscape. Yesterday we're on the Salt Flats, today we're in another form of desert, and it's just absolutely ridiculous scenery. So I can only speak highly of that. We've just landed now in Laguna, Colorado, which is a national park. You do have to pay 150 Bolivianas, which is about £16 per person to get in. They used to hunt a lot of like the llamas and a lot of the animals, and they were trying to extract a lot of the borax that was on like the lake and the surrounding areas. So what they did is created this into a national park, and it's like a big conservation place now. £16. So yeah, obviously that's the only thing we've had to pay for. In addition, on the trip itself, it's an unbelievable landscape, to be fair. Like the water is red. The actual meaning of the Colorado Lake is Red Lagoon, and it is red as chips. You know when you get to places sometimes and it's like, oh, it's called this, oh, it's meant to look this colour. This looks unbelievably red. On the drive in, you're seeing an absolute shed load of llamas dotted about the place, and we're just walking down now. Got a little coffee. So everywhere you go on this trip, it's like a powdered milk, which if you've not had powdered milk before, I'd describe it as less than ideal, mate. We found in the middle of this national park, they've got a little cafe selling sandwiches, selling ridiculous amounts of alcohol. If you want to fire up, you absolutely can. Got a little hot chocolate in the bones, and the view up there, it's absolutely sensational. So I would definitely recommend doing that. And then yeah, we're going to get a bit up close and personal with the old llamas, with the old flamingos. So I'll overlay a few things now. But yeah, for me, first time seeing flamingos, unbelievably impressed. They're super flare. When they fly into land just on the top of the water, the wings start slowing down, huge wingspan on the fellas, and then they just start slowly like putting their legs into the water one by one, so about 10 different steps before they get down. Unbelievably pink, and obviously the only one area today, which I mentioned earlier, that's the only one where it's like a breeding ground. So all the others you can get super close, get some flare pics, get some flare JPEGs. So yeah, flying about the place, loving the llamas, loving the Red Lagoon. I think out of the last 4 or 5 stops for me, a few of them hit or miss. Course it's good, course it's nice, but they're kind of similar, to be honest. Do you know what I mean? Going seeing a tree rock, is it cool? Yeah. Is it as good as the Salt Flats yesterday and the Red Lagoon here? Absolutely not. For me, this is the star of the show thus far today, or maybe the active volcano we went to. One of the two. Either way, silly landscape, silly scenes, silly views, silly JPEGs, and just silly vibes left, right and centre. Just get it on the list, lock and load, and I'll be seeing you very shortly for a couple of geysers, whatever you want to call them, and we might be getting in the old hot springs. We'll see how we get on there, baby. The final frontier, Sol de Mañana. This is a little geothermal spot. We've got the sulfur battering into the old lungs. We've got the entire place to ourselves. Again, this is a free place to come to, and you've got a lovely little sunset just teasing, peeking over the top of the mountains, finishing off the day. It's a pretty mad place, to be fair. Like, I've been to the geothermal spots in Iceland. There is absolutely zero health and safety. You can get up close and personal, which is a good thing. Getting at one with nature, getting up close and seeing what it's all about. But just remember, Mother Nature rules all. Somebody actually died here recently, so yeah, be super careful. Do not go across the little boulders here. But yeah, ridiculous environment, ridiculous end to the day. So yeah, absolutely sensational from me. We're going to wrap it up here. We might be getting into a little hot springs later and gazing under the old stars. If that is the case, I'll just overlay it now, just show you how top draw it is. But where we're staying, we've been told there's no hot showers, and it's not even that hot, the water. So we might do it, we might not. If we've got the minerals, like we've been seeing a silly amount of minerals on this trip, I'll overlay it now. And if there's no overlay, you know we've been an absolute wet bag and we've absolutely bottled it. But yeah, again, sensational day. Highlight for me would either be the Red Lagoon or the active volcano. I love all that sort of stuff. And again, there's only been a few places where I've been able to fly the drone. But again, getting that top-down level view, semi-active volcano, getting that in the bones, unbelievable. If you've not checked out day one, so this is day 2 of the tour, day 1 for me was the best day of my life. I literally said it yesterday. Checking out the specific Uyuni Atacama Salt Flats, unbelievable. Genuinely the best place I've ever been to. Just tops the Great Wall of China, and Bolivia is slowly but surely going up the list in terms of all-time top countries. So yeah, you better be back tomorrow. We've got the final day of the trip. Silly content in the pipeline for the rest of Bolivia. Hit that subscribe button whilst you're down there. I'll see you tomorrow, baby. And remember, the chef is always cooking. Let's get it.